everyone, and welcome back. I am JD Brown with ilovevampirenovels.com, and today I have a very special interview video for you guys. The wonderful author Emily Mah has agreed to come out and chat with me for a little bit about her new release, Conquering Starlight, which is book 3 in the Sunrise Prophecy trilogy. So yeah, we get into it and we talk all about her characters, her shifters, her different realms, and what we love most about vampires. So sit tight because all of that starts right now.
Well, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good, good. Trying to keep warm. It's I'm in Chicago, so we have snow already.
Yeah, we've got snow down here too. I'm in Santa Fe. It's been freezing.
Okay. You guys got snow also?
Oh yeah, we're in the mountains.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about if you introduce yourself for our viewers? Well, I mean, you already said where you're from. Maybe a little bit about what you do, things like that.
Sure. My full name is actually Emily Mah, and I'm a full-time writer. Most of my commercial success to date has been in contemporary fiction as E.M. Tippett. And but I actually got my start in science fiction and fantasy. I'm a graduate of the Clarion West Writers Workshop and the Bible Paradise Writers Workshop, and I give an annual lecture at the Taos Toolbox Writers Workshop. I'm in a local writers group called Critical Mass. And I just wanted to come home to my home genre. So I'm doing several things. One of those was to indie pub this 3-book paranormal series, and I'll keep writing, sort of standalone, interconnected paranormals, as I also prepare some projects for to try and sell to trad publishers and things like that. So I've been full-time writing for about 6 years now.
Okay, cool. Are you liking it? Do you enjoy writing?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was always a dream. So I originally went to law school and practiced law for a few years. After I finished law school, I went to Clarion West Writers Workshop.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been in training and in workshops and everything since I was in my mid-20s. I wanted to be a writer kind of all my life. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You've always wanted to write paranormal fiction?
Well, paranormal didn't really exist. I mean, so I'm in my 40s. Paranormal wasn't a thing unless you count writers like Susanna Kearsley and that type of paranormal fiction. It wasn't a thing until I think Twilight came out like when I was in law school. Yeah. I always wanted to write science fiction and fantasy. And part of what I love about that genre is it's so incredibly broad. There's room for all different kinds of things. And that's what I like about it. So yeah, I mean, paranormal, urban, or I guess you could say minus rural fantasy because it takes place in Taos, New Mexico rather than a major city, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. So then tell us a little bit about the Sunlight Prophecy trilogy and what's that about?
Sunrise Prophecy is so it is paranormal romance. What's the best way to put it? I understand a lot of ILVN readers are really into like erotica and vampire boyfriends, and I understand if they don't necessarily identify with these particular books. They're sweet romance. There's no sexy love scenes, I'm afraid, and the vampires are the bad guys. In this, but there are other supernaturals though in the universe. It's actually a pretty well populated universe with a whole lot of different kinds of supernaturals. Yeah, but in this world though, the vampires are the demons, and not in the sexy bad boy kind of a way. They're just the really mean, try to hurt people kind of way.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I really liked, I was reading the 3rd book in the trilogy, but I really liked how all of the creatures kind of had a hand in Armageddon. It seemed like there was, you know, some might have obviously had more of a personal stake in it than others, but I thought it was really cool that you had kind of every creature kind of had a little something to do with it. That was really cool. So what was your inspiration behind the story? Is it just, like, where do your ideas for it come from?
It's straight up Judeo-Christian philosophy, you know, and so I get into the esoterics of which branches of Christianity particularly espouse this view, but there's nothing new in there. There's nothing that I came up with, that I'm that creative with, in terms of the sort of moral rules of the universe and how the Armageddon happens.
Right.
All of my contribution was just coming up with, you know, fun mechanisms and alternative worlds and things like that. Because in book 3, and you're very brave for diving into book 3 because a lot happens in book 4. So we're already living in the multiverse where there's many worlds, not just Earth, that people can sort of fall to, sort of like a Narnia type of a mechanism. And there's one of these alternate worlds that is the demon realm, which is just not like the other worlds. There's something wrong with it. It is pulling on our reality and threatening to shred our reality. And that is where the vampires and angel spirits come from. And they come and possess the bodies of humans. And so the goal of the book for the protagonist is to figure out what's going on in the demon realm and try to prevent all of reality from being destroyed. So all of that is stuff I made up.
Yeah.
And that was just for fun, because I wanted to, when I dove into PNR, I wanted to give myself a nice, huge playground to tell a lot of different kinds of stories, but they're still in the same world. I mean, they'll have a few things always in common. I am a sweet romance author. That's where I'm happy. That's where I'm comfortable. And so that's what I tend to write. I tend to skew pretty YA in my writing. And there will always be major romance plots in them, you know, and things like that. But the mechanics of what kinds of supernaturals we're dealing with and what kind of world we're in, I gave myself just as big a playground as possible. So we can do, you know, writing unicorns or dragons or, you know, whatever. Sirens.
So are you planning like a spin-off or anything like that, kind of based on the realms that you came up with, or?
Yeah, I just plan to play in this playground for as long as people will let me. Yeah, I mean, I started this trilogy over a year ago so that I could release them all 3 months apart, bang, bang, bang. And so that's what this trilogy is. And then I'm going to intersperse more PNR with other projects. So every few months or so, you know, I'm not a super fast writer, so I usually can do 2 to 3 books a year. You know, yeah, I mean, and one of the things is my natural length is about 60,000 words. You know, my books tend to be sort of 2 to 3 hour reads. So that's what enables me to keep that kind of publishing schedule. But yeah, so, you know, as I have time, I'll just keep writing more of these PNRs and just having more fun in this world and seeing what the fan base likes and, you know, following their lead. So
what's a typical day like for you? I know you said you're a full-time author. Do you just get up and start writing, or?
Well, I've got kids.
What's your process?
Yeah, I've got kids. So I just get up and get them off to school. And then I usually will spend the morning writing until I hit about 2,000 words. And then I'll spend the afternoon and evening mastering
Oh,
audiobooks. So I'm working on getting some audiobooks available. So that's what my typical day
awesome.
is. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so let's talk about the main characters. The protagonist and the hero, because I really love them. Were they based on real people that you know, or just like how did you come up with them?
So I actually came up with them just looking at the tropes of paranormal romance. You tend to have a huge age gap. You know, usually the paranormal, it's usually the guy is quite a bit older than the woman. So it was just sort of like, okay, so that's just going to be baked in. what can I do that sells their relationship regardless? Because you always have to worry about relationships that don't seem all that realistic, or like, what is his problem? Like, why is he after somebody who's basically like a fetus, in comparison? So he was born during the Roman Empire. She is a modern human. And part of what he finds so fascinating about her is she's such a completely modern, very, logical, scientific, sort of modern person, and he finds her utterly fascinating in that respect. So that's what I started with it, and I also delved into this idea that if you're actually immortal, it's kind of hard to be present for hundreds of years on end. Just if we live a humdrum life, we often will kind of zone out for long periods of it, like lectures in school and things like that. And if you live long enough, I expanded that to the idea that you might zone out for decades and centuries, because over time, everything's going to become humdrum at some point. It's just very rare to see anything new. So I did that to sort of give them more equal power, so that he may be chronologically very old, but in some ways, there's only so much living you can pack into an existence where you never change, and your experience is kind of the same day in and day out.
And I just want to clarify for the viewers, Corbin the hero is an angel, was that correct?
The hero,
or a fallen angel?
The main character is a half-turned vampire. So,
right, the girl.
Yeah, in this world, the thing about demonic possession is that vampires have always accomplished full possession, and so that's why the vampires are all evil. And it's hardly a new idea that you get a good vampire somehow, usually by in the Buffyverse it was being able to keep your soul, or whatever. And in this that she managed to stay half-turned, and she's able to not fully complete the transition. The more paranormal love interest is an angel. Yeah, he's a guardian angel. And here there's spoilers if anybody wants to fast forward past this if they're planning to read the trilogy. The guardian angels are all actually half-turned as well. So if you are an angel and you turn all the way, you also become this sort of demonic fallen angel type presence. But there's again, getting into Judeo-Christian philosophy, you've got an order of people who live by, and it's not necessarily Christianity, it'll have Buddhists, it has Muslims, it has, but people who are very spiritual, who just believe that as long as they are serving humanity, then they're going to, that's how they keep from turning completely evil. They just live their whole life and use all their paranormal abilities in service of humankind. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was very cool the way you set that up in the book, so I like that. So what's your favorite thing about writing vampires? Is it just, like, it seems like you like watching the TV shows and things like that, so what's your favorite part of the vampire creature?
Some of them. Because a lot of very cool things have been done in vampire fiction, and that even kind of just goes beyond vampires, but a lot of groundbreaking stuff has been done with vampires. I find vampires a very interesting trope, really, because they fit the anti-hero thing very, very well. But anti-heroes are also very interesting to me, because vampires have gone from being just disgusting and terrifying to the sexy boyfriend in about 100 years without actually changing all that much. They're cuter now, but like
very clear.
The personality characters kind of tend to be the same. They're the loners, the powerful, all of these things. And so I find them very fascinating in that respect. For what it's worth, because I just wanted to take a different take on it, there's a lot of PNR out there. I went ahead and embraced them just being evil, because that's just not what a whole lot of people are doing nowadays, and it was just to do something a little bit different. So the idea of them being, demons, and because the goal of the main characters in book 3 is to get rid of them, is to stop the mechanism that is pulling these demons from another realm to possess people. Yeah.
So I have to ask about the Coyote Sisters because I love them. So what was kind of the process behind that, and like how did you come up with the idea of Coyote Sisters?
I just think they're funny. I'm not really sure. I think it was just one of those random wild ideas. So the Coyote Shifters are a group of people who have 2 superpowers. And they're actually the most powerful kind of supernatural in the universe. They have the power to shift into coyotes, as you would expect, but they also have the ability to cross into any of the other realms at any time. Whereas most people, it's got to be, your destiny, or, you need some special mechanism to be able to get into another realm. So it's not like regular people can just go to Narnia or go to, wherever. And, but the Coyote Shifters, not only can they go into any realm that they want, they can take other people, so hence they're coyotes in that respect. And I think it just came from playing on that term of coyotes who, can take people across boundaries, take people across borders. And then, so from that idea, I got this character, Aline, who's just one of my favorite characters. She's hilarious. Because
she's my favorite too. She's so cute.
But the thing is, again, it's taking an idea to its logical end. If you grow up like that, you're going to be a little weird. If you grow up where your reality is, you can shift your reality kind of at will and things like that, you're going to be a little strange. And she is. She's
very cute.
When I introduce her in book 2, she's the one who brings in a whole lot of the metaphysics of like, oh, well, this is how it works. And she keeps on saying, obviously. Well, obviously. And people are like, this is so not obvious to other people. So, yeah.
But I think people do that in real life. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. So, and she's fun. She's 16 years old. And there'll be another book. I'm about a third of the way through a book that's just about her and her story, things, and just getting into who are completely made up by me, and I'm just having fun, with shifters who are just again a different kind of shifter. They're not really the bad boy. They're not really they're kind of weird.
Cool.
Books. Do you want me to do that?
Sure. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is book 1. This is the Sunrise, Chasing Sunrise. Book 1 in the Sunrise Prophecy. Sorry, make sure it's in the screen there. So this is book 1, and it came out in June. And then this is book 2, Catching Moonlight, and that came out in August. And then book 3 comes out November 18th, and that one's called Conquering Starlight.
And is it available on pre-order currently?
It's up
or?
So it's been up for pre-order since book 2 came out. Yeah, and so the whole trilogy is orderable. Yeah, and so yeah, and on the launch date, I will be discounting the price of the first one. So yeah, if people want to get a price on the first one, that'll be happening right around launch time for the third one, November. Yeah.
Awesome. And will they be available in audiobook eventually, or?
Eventually. So I've got book 1, the audiobook recorded, and I just need to master it. I also have a bunch of like chronic health problems, so I can't always be 100% concrete on. I prioritize my book release dates first. And that doesn't just mean I make sure I have the book written. It means I will clear everything off my desk if I need to make sure the book is the quality that it needs to be. Get all the final edits, get all the tweaks and everything in. So that always comes first. So things like audiobooks, when they're going to be released, I can't be as concrete about, because if it comes down to a book release or anything else, the book release is always going to take absolute first priority.
Of course, yeah. And then you don't record your own audiobooks, do you? Or do you?
I hire actors.
Okay, yeah.
I just do the mastering and things like that. I mean, there are authors who are also voice actors and can do a great job. That's just not my background at all. I don't do dramatic.
Me neither.
And I'm a firm believer in know where to put your money. I mean, there are people who overspend on indie publishing, as you well know. You've been in the genre, you've been in the industry for a while. And so there are things that you probably shouldn't be spending tons of money on, but things like, you know, your covers and your audiobook actors, that's value for money. That makes all of sense. And so, yeah, I hire actors. I've got a couple of local actors, voice actors.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to keep my eye open for the audio version as well, because I would love to have that. And I also want to go back and read book 1 and book 2.
I'm happy to send those to you. I can shoot those to you in an email right now.
That's fine. I want to support you. I'll grab them.
That's sweet of you.
And do you have any advice for the people out there who want to write a book and haven't yet? They're, just trying to get their foot in the door.
Well, I mean, so there's so many things that people can say, but I think the most important thing to always focus on is what works for you. You're gonna, whatever your style is, like right now it's NaNoWriMo or NaNoWriMo, where people will write a novel in a month, and you'll see people singing its praises, and you'll see people saying, oh, it's a complete waste of time, don't ever do that. And the right answer is it working for you? Are you energized by writing every day, or do you find it a useful exercise even if it's not energizing, even if it's sort of devastating? If it's working for you, do it, and just get rid of all the people who are telling you things that are hindering your progress. That's stuff to focus on for the second draft, but get through that first draft however you're going to get through it. I really do think that's the getting that first novel written. And then you turn on the editor, and then you start doing all of those things. But yeah, I mean, I've been in the publishing industry for a couple decades at this point, so I'm always happy to answer people's questions about that. I've got grad experience. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. And I completely agree with that, too. You just have to do what works for you and get that first draft done. Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah, I mean, so like, for example, most people would never, it's not a good idea to do as many drafts as I typically do for most people. But for me, over the decades, that's what's been proven to work for me. Everybody's got their own process. Mm-hmm. But yeah, whenever I'm in a new critique situation, people are like, are you sure? And I'm like, watch me rewrite it again. And over again, they're like, yeah, okay, it actually does keep getting better. So, everybody's got a quirk. And so I think a lot of people get shut down too early because of a quirk that should not be shutting them down. Other people, like, nobody else does it that way. Well, maybe nobody else does it that way. So what?
Right.
That shouldn't necessarily matter.
Right. Well, I mean, I've interviewed quite a few authors at this point, and I swear every single author has a different process.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, there's really no, wrong way to go about it, it seems. It's just exactly what you said. Just whatever works for you is what you got to do.
Yeah, because in the end of the day, you're selling the finished book, not the process that you wrote the book with, not your daily schedule, not anything like that. So whatever gets you to that finished book, you do. Mm-hmm. And you don't let other people judge that. Yeah.
Right. Is there anything else that you want to maybe mention or talk about that I haven't asked yet?
Not really. I mean, I really appreciate having the chance to do an interview, and I really appreciate having a chance to meet you and to get to know the PNR community, because I'll admit that a big part of my motivation for diving into PNR was to get to know the community. It just seems like such a cool community. And what I'm just hoping for is just to, get to meet more people and just get to see more of the fan base and everything like that, because it's the thing about speculative fiction, which is science fiction, fantasy, some kinds of horror or magical realism, all that is it looks like a ghetto from the outside, I think, to people. It seems like a very small thing, but it's so much bigger on the inside than it appears from the outside. And PNR is this enormous universe inside. Oh, yeah. It's not like, I think a lot of people see a PNR and just think, oh, Twilight. Well, it's like, well, Twilight's one of the most famous PNRs, but PNR is way bigger than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so where can our followers find you? Like your website, Facebook, things like that?
Yeah, so on Facebook, I'm just using my personal Facebook page. which is facebook.com/Emily Mah Tippets. The best way to connect up with me is to go to my website, which is emilymah.com. Well, it's www.emilymah.com. Mah is spelled M-A-H, so EMILYMAH.com. And I also am on Twitter, but I'm very sporadically on Twitter. Sometimes I'm there and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I log on and realize somebody tweeted at me like a week ago, and I don't respond for that week because I prioritize the writing first. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm able to be sociable and things like that, that's always a lot of fun and that's a great bonus. But I don't want to sacrifice writing time
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah,
it.
of
So
course.
I want to be working on getting
Twitter's not really my favorite anyway.
Yeah, see, I've had good experiences on Twitter. I think that Twitter reminds me of like a convention party.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's like a global party, whereas people are speaking out in the open. You actually can kind of walk up and join the conversation. You know, don't be too weird about it. But like, it actually gives you an in to like just trade jokes and quips and, you know, just with random people around the world. So I've had an incredibly positive experience on it. I'm not famous enough and I haven't done anything quite stupid enough to go viral. So, you know,
Yeah.
I know it can be a very negative experience for people. And I know some people have been piled on and a lot of terrible things have happened there. But my experience.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really great to meet you. And it's, you know, like I said, this is
Thank you.
a huge universe. I can disclose this now years later, but I can't disclose what years, but I've judged the PNR category for the Roni Awards more than once. And so every time it's an eye-opener to how many more new voices there are and how many, you know, there's so many PNR authors and, you know, there's just so many facets of the genre. So it's always exciting to meet yet another person who's writing.
Yes, absolutely. And again, thank you so much for doing the interview and answering my questions and hanging out with me for about a half hour.
Yeah, been great.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. So take care. I'm sure you have better things to do.
Oh. I'm a little under the weather, so I may go take a nap. Yeah.
Sure.
So, yeah, but thanks so much. And, you know, shoot me an email if you need anything else. And yeah, thanks so much.
Sure. You're welcome. It was my pleasure. So I'll see you later.
See you later.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed our interview with Emily Mah. She was so gracious for coming out and chatting with me for a little while. Quick reminder, you can win a paperback copy of the Sunrise Prophecy Trilogy. Emily has agreed to give away a copy of the entire trilogy, so book 1, book 2, and book 3 in the Sunrise Prophecy series could be yours. All you have to do to enter to win that giveaway is to click on the giveaway link below in the video description, and that will take you to the official giveaway page where you can sign up. And that is all the time we have for today, folks. So once again, make sure you click that subscribe button and bell icon down below so you don't miss any of our future review videos, giveaways, interviews, etc. See you next time. Bye.